For over 2 decades, the Central Intelligence Agency conducted a highly classified project known as MKUltra. What started as a covert mission to develop mind control techniques would soon spiral into one of the darkest chapters in American history.
So we were charged with rather an elaborate attempt to try to find out chemical, psychological, any kind of means that people could use to influence the behavior of the people.
This is the story of how science, secrecy, and fear converged to give birth to a program that would haunt those who experienced it and terrify those who uncovered it. The year is 1953. The Cold War between the United States and the Soviet Union rages on. But it wasn't just bombs and missiles that nations feared. A new, more subtle weapon had entered the fray: psychological warfare. The CIA was convinced that the Soviets were developing mind control techniques, and they would stop at nothing to catch up. Enter Alan Dulles, then director of the CIA. He believed that if they could find a way to control the human mind, they could create a new kind of super soldier, or, more terrifyingly, control the thoughts and actions of enemies without them even knowing. To achieve this, Dulles authorized MKUltra, a project cloaked in secrecy, with the goal of developing drugs, psychological techniques, and even brainwashing strategies to control human behavior. MKUltra's methods were as diverse as they were horrifying. From 1953 to the early 70s, the CIA conducted experiments in hospitals, prisons, and universities across the country. Some of the most infamous experiments involved the use of LSD, a powerful hallucinogenic drug. The drug was seen as a possible truth serum that could break down a person's mental defenses, but the results were far from predictable. Many subjects, including CIA operatives, were dosed with LSD without their knowledge. Their reactions ranged from paranoia and hallucinations to complete mental breakdowns. The drug didn't open the mind, it shattered it. One of the most chilling aspects of MKUltra was its experimentation on unwilling subjects. Dr. Donald Ewan Cameron, a psychiatrist, was one of the most notorious figures involved. At the Allen Memorial Institute in Montreal, Canada, Cameron carried out extreme methods like psychic driving and sleep therapy on his patients, often without their consent. Patients were placed in drug-induced comas, forced to listen to repeated messages, sometimes for weeks on end, in an attempt to erase their memories. Many of them left the institute permanently scarred, with no recollection of what had been done to them. By the early 70s, as the Vietnam War drew to a close, MKUltra was gradually winding down. But it wasn't until 1975 that the full extent of the program was exposed, thanks to the Church Committee, a Senate investigation into CIA activities. The hearings revealed that the CIA had destroyed most of the MKUltra records just 2 years prior, making it impossible to know the full scope of the project. Still, enough documents survived to paint a chilling picture. Over 80 institutions, including colleges and hospitals. Thousands of subjects were experimented on, many without their consent.
Apart from Orlico, Huard, and Logie, there were 3 Montreal housewives, one of whom is now institutionalized. There's a Montreal businessman who never really got his life together again after the experiments, and another man who's been destitute for most of the time since. Ironically enough, one of the victims is now a psychiatrist practicing in Eastern Ontario. She obviously functions well enough, but after the experiments, 10 years of her memory was wiped right out.
The survivors of MKUltra struggled to pick up the pieces of their lives. Many reported ongoing psychological trauma, memory loss, and mental disorders. Legal battles for compensation ensued, but for most victims, the damage was irreparable.
They would give me as much as 40 pills a day. And I would ask the nurse, what is that? They would say it's a new drug, and they only name it by a number.
What did all those drugs do to you? How did they make you
Well,
feel?
I was very, very strong, well-powered. So these drugs kind of desensitize me. They would lower my reactions. They would lower my resistance.
I remember them telling me that I was getting smaller and smaller, and I really felt myself getting smaller. And they were bringing me back in time, way back, At one point, I almost felt like I was just about to be born, really, that far back in memory. And they were really probing, asking all kinds of questions, and I felt I didn't have any control. I had to answer. I didn't feel I had any control. I was completely, like they had complete control over me.
What if MKUltra hadn't been a failure? What if the CIA had unlocked the secrets of total mind control? Imagine a world where governments could manipulate thoughts, emotions, and behaviors at will. Soldiers programmed to kill without hesitation. Political dissidents silenced before they could speak. Entire populations controlled through invisible means. Their very thoughts shaped by unseen hands. In warfare, enemies could be neutralized not with bombs or bullets, but with the flick of a switch, obedient. Controlled minds carrying out missions without question. A population of sleepers hidden in plain sight, waiting for their commands. On a smaller scale, leaders could eliminate dissent by influencing key individuals, planting ideas that aren't their own. Perhaps the media could be used as a tool, subliminally controlling the masses through television, radio, or now, even social media. How would we know where our thoughts end and someone else's begins? The horrifying reality is that we'll never know how close they came to that power, or if elements of it still linger, hidden in the dark corners of intelligence agencies around the world. The legacy of MKUltra lingers to this day. Though it officially ended in the early 1970s, the program's shadow continues to haunt the collective consciousness. Conspiracy theories about ongoing mind control experiments remain widespread, and for good reason. The extent of what was truly done under the guise of MKUltra may never be fully known. Thousands of pages of documents were destroyed, and many involved took their secrets to the grave. But the mere fact that such experiments were conducted by a government agency raises uncomfortable questions. How far are governments willing to go in the name of security? And what other programs remain hidden from the public eye, waiting to be uncovered? In the end, MKUltra wasn't just an experiment, it was a nightmare. And though the program may have ended, its ghosts still linger in the shadows, reminding us that the truth is often far darker than fiction.